One of the most popular criticisms of James Cameron's Avatar is that its story was too simplistic and that it borrowed heavily from other famous stories. It all came down to a war between the Na'vi and the humans, and the chance that Avatar 2 would rehash this conflict has become a target for criticism. Don't get me wrong, I don't think Avatar had the most original nor greatest story ever told, but I appreciated the way Cameron went out of his way to capture it, and for the most part, I was invested in the story on screen. But while others do align with those previous criticisms, the Avatar 2 teaser trailer seems to indicate that a rehash of the story won't be the case this time around. So what exactly is the footage suggesting, and what kind of war may we be getting in the highly anticipated sequel? Well, in this video, I'm going to be breaking down the potential war and story beats from Avatar: The Way of Water. Before I get into it, if you want to keep up to date on any of my content surrounding the Avatar sequels and other sci-fi series such as Denis Villeneuve's Dune, then don't forget to support this video by giving it a like rating, subscribing to the channel, and turning on your notifications. Also, feel free to check me out on Twitter, Facebook, Reddit, and Instagram at Cortex Videos, which is all linked in the description below. But without further ado, let's dive into my early thoughts on the plot of Avatar 2. So after 13 years, the Avatar: The Way of Water trailer debuted exclusively for CinemaCon attendees, and now it has been released online for the world to see. The trailer has been watched more than the modern Star Wars films, and viewers have come out of it with primary questions over the main story. Now, while we can't put a full picture together of what this new film will be about, what we can do is look at some of the elements displayed in the footage and theorize over what the war could be centered on. The teaser trailer itself has teased plenty of new underwater and shoreside locations, but it also suggests that rival Na'vi tribes will go to war this time around, alongside the returning humans picking back up their mining operations that once became destructive for Pandora. But amongst all of this, we have some interesting developments with Jake Sully and Neytiri's new family, as the fight to keep their 4 children safe becomes a primary issue. Based on previous interviews with writers and producers on the film, this includes their 3 sons with Neteyam, Loak, and Spider, alongside their daughter named Neytiri. And because Jake Sully became one of the people at the end of the first Avatar, his children are Na'vi too, displaying their iconic blue skin, larger bodies, and being able to bond with the nature around them. However, a key difference with one of their sons, particularly Spider, is that he is actually a human. After seeing the trailer, many of us have questions surrounding his character. Where does he come from, and is this a concern for his parents now that the humans are back to cause problems and fellow tribes are at war too? Well, Spider is not their biological child, and his real name is apparently Miles Socorro, born in the colony that housed the humans in the original film. Here there was of course all the scientists like Grace, the soldiers, and RDA execs, but during that time there also must have been children born, and Spider is apparently one that has been adopted by Jake and Neytiri. According to previously revealed details, Spider was too weak to make the journey back to Earth after the original war, and Sully himself adopted the child, gave him the nickname Spider, and raised him as one of the family. And this is where problems and conflicts can arise in Avatar 2, whether it be from within the family itself, or with how the other Na'vi tribes respond to this. Maybe we come back to Pandora, we realise that over the years the connection between the tribes has become fragile due to both species becoming ever more entangled, and therefore those who are only faithful to the Na'vi have become all the more tense from it. After all, the Pandora natives have always been quite anxious and distrusting of the humans who have continued to cause problems and rip apart their natural land. And maybe when they make a revisit, this completely separates the clans and makes them more against human settlers within. It was in the first film that Jake and Grace had to earn their trust and betray their own kind to become a part of the people. Jake also had to abandon his old body and become a Na'vi for the rest of time via the Tree of Awa. And maybe now the humans have a greater incentive to come back and fight, because on top of needing the planet's valuable resources, they also probably don't like the fact that the Na'vi are joining with humans that have grown up and couldn't make the trip back to Earth originally. They may feel like their own people have been taken captive by the Na'vis, similar to how Miles Quaritch misread their actions before and didn't listen to Jake or Grace in multiple situations. And I'd also put my money on Jake himself still being looked down upon from other Na'vi because of his human origins and eventual transition. So it's characters like Jake and his son Spider that are obvious targets in this current landscape, and they are potential incentives for this new war, building in a growing hatred from the Na'vi towards humans and from the humans themselves, who hope to fight back much harder. It's Spider's presence in this new film that suggests the blurring of the lines between both species, continuing on from Jake's physical transformation into a Na'vi in the previous storyline. Now, coming back to how the humans will aim to fight back harder in Avatar 2, we get a great sense of this through the reappearance of a character we once thought had died. Miles Quaritch had a quite brutal death in the first movie, taking multiple massive arrows from Neytiri. But after director James Cameron confirmed that he would be returning for all the planned films and as a central villain, it made us wonder how he will be back to potentially force forward a new war. The exact reasons have been kept under wraps, but now in the Avatar 2 trailer, we see that a Na'vi has the same haircut and tattoo that Quaritch had in the first movie. So how did he return? Well, maybe the RDA had enough time to plug his mind into a Na'vi body, even though his human body is no more. We did see Jake using the Tree of Souls to put his mind into a Na'vi body at the end of the first film, so what's not to say that a decade later, the humans have advanced and found a way to make this happen in an alternative way. For all we know, the RDA might also now be able to create copies of important people in their ranks, and this would lead to a more complicated war for Jake and his family. They'd have to do more than just survive and fight back this time, because they'd have to actually prevent this kind of tech from being used and upgraded even further. And with this version of Quaritch being the same one or a clone, realizing that he has to become one of them to take them down, it makes for a much more threatening opposition. We'll have to see, but all the smaller details like the return of Quaritch and the human child of Jake and Neytiri make the landscape of a new war all the more interesting, yet all the more scary for Jake's family too. But like I was saying before, I think what really grabs my attention about the potential conflicts of Avatar 2 is the more internal ones within the Na'vi tribes. This provides for a more interesting story long term, and you can really introduce us to new clans that hold differing positions. Cameron is a filmmaker that reflects our world in his stories, and doing something like this could reflect the divergence of cultures and countries on Earth. By showing those internal conflicts on Pandora, Avatar: The Way of Water could give us a much deeper look into the world's culture and avoid repeating the same plotline. The first movie did also tease that there was a lot of this world still left to discover, especially when we see Jake asking the help of other clans on the planet. So now in the sequels, if we get a greater on-screen relationship between them through a conflict, it would make the stakes all the more necessary. Avatar 2 really has the world and factions to create a storyline that is much more personal when it comes to the family bonds they've teased, yet more universal too in the way tribes get along along with each other. And over time, we could see a story where all these different tribes eventually have to come together. It can be a film that introduces more of the culture, more of the characters involved, and a more detailed war in the process. One that's not just humans versus the Na'vi, but this time with one that has blurred the lines between the two. But that was my video discussing my initial thoughts on the potential war and plot of Avatar: The Way of Water. Again, there is of course the skepticism surrounding how viewers will react to Avatar 2 after so many years, and the way that James Cameron and his team can prove people wrong is, for one, by not repeating the simplistic war that the first film centered on, and two, build on a story that is fresh for this world and one that emotionally captures the characters involved. The new trailer showed us that this may in fact be the case, and that's a positive sign considering that Cameron has 4 films lined up with this Avatar franchise. We all know that the technology is going to be groundbreaking, and the teaser alone sold me on that, but it's in the story that Cameron can really prove the doubters wrong this time around. I have faith that he can pull this off, having done so many times in the past, and it will be really intriguing to see what the extent of the Na'vi civil wars will be, and the current dispute between them and the humans in Avatar 2. Only time will tell, and I'm sure that the second trailer will focus more on the story elements that people want to know about. But what do you think the war will be about in Avatar 2, and what other details from the trailer did you pick out that suggest where this story is going? Let me know down below in the comment section. For much more videos and news on James Cameron's Avatar films, then subscribe to the channel and turn on your notifications. Also, if you enjoyed this video, remember to leave a like rating and follow me on social media via the links in the description. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed it. I've been Cortex, and as always, make some noise.